Have you ever noticed how, sometimes, it seems like other people's lives matter more than your own? Maybe you don't even realize it, but you're living in an invisible prison, trying to please everyone except yourself. How many important decisions have been left behind simply out of fear of what others might think? And what if I told you that you're giving up your happiness for something impossible? Controlling people's opinions. Right now, thousands of people are living under the crushing weight of others' expectations, without realizing that they are sacrificing their own identity and freedom for it. But there is a way out, and it can completely transform your life. In this video, I'm going to reveal how you can finally break free from this mental prison, stop living for others, and take control of your own story. The trap of external validation. How the need for others' approval can limit your freedom and authenticity. When someone depends on external validation to feel like they're doing something right, they give up the freedom to be authentic, true, and free. The person might think they're making their own decisions, but deep down, they're just satisfying others' expectations, living for glances and comments that don't even matter that much. It's almost like carrying a heavy backpack filled with other people's opinions without realizing they can just drop it and walk freely. For example, when someone avoids wearing an outfit they love for fear of criticism, they're wearing opinions, not clothes. This trap creeps in gradually, almost unnoticed, until the person becomes so used to seeking approval that they no longer know who they are, what they like, or what their own desires are. It's like a bird that refuses to fly because it believes its wings won't be appreciated by others. The worst part is that the more someone chases external validation, the less they can be truly happy because there will always be someone else to please. However, the way out of this prison exists, and it's simpler than it seems. The secret is to look inward, question yourself, and slowly free yourself from the need to please everyone. After all, no one has ever managed to do that anyway. When someone realizes that pleasing everyone is impossible and unnecessary for happiness, they finally begin to experience the incredible freedom of living according to their own desires, without fear, without burdens, and with complete authenticity. The fear of judgment. Why we care so much about what others think and how to overcome this barrier. It's interesting to see that no matter how free people feel, there is still a silent fear influencing their actions, the constant worry about judgment. It's as if they live in a showcase, always being watched by critical eyes that don't always exist in reality. How many opportunities have been lost, how many words left unspoken, simply out of fear of being misinterpreted or rejected. The root of this fear is deeply connected to the human desire for acceptance and belonging. From childhood, people learn that being accepted by a group is valuable, almost essential. But at some point, this need for acceptance turns into a prison, and they forget that by living just to avoid judgment, they give up being true to themselves. The irony is that judgments will always exist, no matter what effort is made. Overcoming this barrier takes courage and a willingness to face personal fears. A good strategy is to start small, doing little things that challenge this fear daily, wearing a different outfit, speaking up in a conversation, or taking up a new hobby without worrying about others' reactions. By doing this, a person realizes that judgments rarely have the devastating impact they imagined and that many of them exist only in their own minds. Over time, this awareness brings freedom, allowing someone to live more lightly and spontaneously. External judgment loses its power when a person understands that the value of their own decisions cannot depend on others' fleeting opinions. Freeing oneself from this fear opens up space for a life of courage, boldness, and true satisfaction. Those who stop living fully out of fear of what others think end up not truly living at all. Building your own identity. The importance of knowing yourself and defining your own values and goals. Discovering who you really are may be one of the most beautiful and challenging journeys in life. Building your own identity is like creating a unique work of art that requires time, patience, and authenticity. It's interesting how so many people spend their entire lives trying to imitate someone they admire, forgetting that their true strength lies in what makes them different, genuine, and authentic. Truly knowing yourself means understanding your real values, those worth standing up for regardless of circumstances or others' approval. It's about realizing what truly brings joy and motivation without needing external validation to confirm it. For example, someone might discover that they value freedom more than security, which could mean leaving a stable job to pursue a creative dream. To set authentic goals, a person must tune out the noise around them and listen to their inner voice, the one often drowned out by others' expectations. A good exercise is to take moments of solitude to reflect on important questions. What do I truly want to do with my life? What really matters to me? Or, what would I do even if I received no recognition or reward for it? When someone starts acting based on clear values and self-defined goals, they begin to experience a much more meaningful and fulfilling life. There is nothing more liberating and powerful than walking in the right direction, the one they chose themselves, knowing exactly what they want and why. That's when personal identity becomes strong and immune to the world's fleeting opinions. The power of no. Learning to set boundaries and say no without guilt or fear of disapproval. Saying no seems simple, but for many it's a real challenge. That's because refusing something can feel risky, as if every no comes with a possibility of rejection. It's funny how people often sacrifice their own well-being, accepting commitments, requests, or responsibilities they don't want, just to avoid disappointing or upsetting someone. But in reality, every forced yes is a no to oneself. The truth is that learning to say no is liberating. It's not about selfishness but about self-love and respect for one's individuality. A person who can set clear and healthy boundaries finds their life becomes lighter, and their relationships more honest. Imagine someone who always accepts social commitments they dislike out of fear of rejection. When they start saying no politely, they gain time and energy for things that truly matter, like spending time with family or taking care of their health. The big secret to saying no without guilt is understanding that rejecting a request does not mean rejecting the person. A no, said with kindness and confidence, can strengthen relationships rather than weaken them. It's important to be clear about the reason without over-explaining. For example, I can't help today because I've already committed to something important, but maybe next time. This conveys confidence and mutual respect. Practicing no is, above all, an act of courage and self-awareness. The more someone respects their own limits, the more others learn to respect them too. The result is a life with less stress, more authenticity, and healthier relationships. And remember, those who don't learn to say no end up living a life that isn't their own, filled only with others' priorities. It's time to embrace the power of no and truly live the illusion of controlling others' opinions. Understanding that we can't control what others think, only our own choices. There's something fascinating about how people tirelessly try to control what others think of them. They shape every word, every gesture, every action, believing that this will ensure a positive external opinion. What most people don't realize is that this effort is just an illusion, because, in reality, no one has any control over others' thoughts and perceptions. Each individual carries a unique perspective shaped by their own experiences, beliefs, and emotions. This means that no matter how hard someone tries, there will always be interpretations beyond their control. A simple example of this is how two people can watch the same movie and walk away with completely different opinions. So why would anyone think they can control what others think of them? Recognizing this lack of control is liberating and deeply transformative. Instead of wasting energy trying to manage the impossible, a person can focus on the only aspect they truly have control over, their own choices and actions. By committing to being authentic and aligned with personal values, they naturally begin to attract those with similar perspectives, without needing to manipulate perceptions. It's important to understand that living to please everyone is like trying to hold water with open hands, impossible and frustrating. By letting go of this illusory need for control, life becomes lighter, more genuine, and more spontaneous. In the end, accepting that you can't control what others think is a powerful invitation to fully live your inner truth, without masks and without fear of fleeting opinions that seem so concerning but ultimately define nothing. Self-confidence and authenticity. How to develop confidence in yourself and act according to your true essence. Self-confidence is like an internal compass that guides people to act naturally and authentically, regardless of circumstances. However, this compass often seems broken, lost, or forgotten in the depths of some emotional drawer. It's not uncommon for someone to feel doubt, insecurity, and fear of acting in alignment with their true essence, especially when facing the pressure of others' expectations. Building self-confidence requires looking inward with honesty, identifying and recognizing both strengths and weaknesses. A good way to start is with small steps, like expressing opinions in simple conversations, trying activities that spark genuine interest, or even admitting without fear when you don't know something. Every time a person does this, their self-confidence grows a little more, reinforcing the idea that being authentic is far more valuable than pretending to be perfect. Authenticity is like a muscle, the more it's exercised, the stronger and more natural it becomes. An authentic person doesn't need to wear masks, doesn't fear being vulnerable, and understands that true security doesn't come from external approval but from the inner peace of acting with integrity and truth. Someone may choose to work in a field they love, even if it's less socially recognized, because they know that personal fulfillment is worth more than superficial status. In the end, developing self-confidence and authenticity means choosing to live with courage and integrity, guided by your own inner voice. It's a continuous process, an invitation to embrace who you truly are in every situation. By doing this, a person stops depending on others' opinions and begins to walk a path of freedom and personal fulfillment, understanding that true happiness has never been in external approval but in the powerful and light freedom of fully being oneself. Surrounding yourself with the right people. The influence of social circles and the importance of maintaining connections that respect your individuality. They say that each person is the average of the 5 people they spend the most time with, and there's a deep truth in that statement. Social circles have a powerful, often invisible, impact on how someone thinks, feels, and acts. Surrounding yourself with the right people isn't just a matter of emotional well-being, but of survival for your authenticity. After all, the wrong people have the power to suffocate even the most vibrant personalities. Observing your social circle is essential to understanding whether these connections propel you forward or hold you back. A good friendship or relationship should act like an honest mirror, reflecting both your strengths and areas for improvement, but without ever trying to distort or reshape who you truly are. For example, it's important to have friends who genuinely celebrate your personal achievements rather than constantly criticizing your choices. Choosing who to spend time with also means accepting that there's nothing wrong with distancing yourself from certain people. Some connections simply stop making sense over time, especially those that pressure you to act against your own values. It's not about disregarding anyone but about cultivating relationships that are emotionally nourishing, that inspire growth, respect, and most importantly, the freedom to be who you are. By surrounding yourself with the right people, you feel free to be exactly who you are without masks or fears. Authentic connections offer genuine acceptance, understanding, and mutual encouragement, allowing each person to feel valued for who they truly are, rather than for who they pretended to be to please others. When this happens, the result is a richer, lighter, and more authentic life, full of friendships that strengthen and celebrate individuality. The impact of social comparison. How to avoid measuring yourself by others' standards and focus on your own progress. We live in a time when it's almost impossible not to compare our own journey to others. Just opening social media can send you into a spiral of doubts and frustrations, making you think that everyone has a perfect life except you. Social comparison is dangerous because it steals joy and prevents you from appreciating what you've already achieved. After all, if you're too busy looking sideways, you can't see your own growth. The biggest problem with constant comparison is that no one shows their failures, bad days, or deepest insecurities. Everything seems so polished and ideal that people start to feel behind or inadequate, without realizing that everyone has their own pace, challenges, and unique victories. As the saying goes, it's unfair to compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Real life is far different from what appears in the showcase. To escape this trap, you need to shift your focus. Instead of looking at others, look inward and ask yourself, what can I do today to improve myself? A practical suggestion is to develop the habit of recording small daily achievements, valuing your own progress rather than trying to reach externally imposed standards. This builds self-confidence and a sense of accomplishment while making personal progress clearer. Those who focus on their own journey, recognizing the value of their own story, realize that comparison with others stops making sense. After all, true success isn't about surpassing anyone, it's about being better today than yesterday. When someone learns this lesson, they finally start living with lightness, genuine satisfaction, and lasting happiness that no longer depends on others' appearances but on authenticity and the courage to walk their own path. Acting with purpose. Making decisions based on your own desires and values, not external expectations. Many people live on autopilot, making decisions based on everything except their own purpose. They take courses they don't like, accept jobs they hate, and stay in unhappy relationships just because someone expects them to. It's as if their life is guided by a broken compass, always pointing toward external expectations rather than personal dreams and values. Acting with purpose is a powerful way to reclaim that compass, bringing clarity to the path and meaning to actions. It's not just about doing something because it's necessary, but because it deeply resonates with personal values and essence. When someone makes decisions based on their own purpose, doubts fade away, replaced by the feeling that every step truly matters, that every choice is connected to what genuinely holds meaning. A practical way to start acting with purpose is to question the real intentions behind every important decision. Simple questions like, am I doing this for myself or to please someone else? Or, if no one were watching, would I still make this choice? Help reveal true motivations. Over time, this practice creates a life that is coherent and aligned, where each decision reinforces personal values instead of weakening them. Those who act driven by a clear purpose discover something valuable. A fulfilling and meaningful life isn't the result of external approval, but of the courage to follow personal convictions. Someone who lives with purpose isn't afraid of fleeting criticism because they know exactly what they want and why. And in the end, that's what truly matters, living with meaning, coherence, and authenticity, no matter what others may think or say. The freedom to be yourself. The emotional and psychological benefits of breaking free from external pressures and living an authentic life. The freedom to be who you are may be the most precious achievement of all. It's interesting how people, even knowing this, spend much of their lives trying to fit into molds that weren't made for them. Imagine wearing tight shoes all day just because they please others. At some point, the pain becomes unbearable. That's how many people live, squeezed by expectations when they could simply walk barefoot and free. If you enjoyed this content and want to keep learning how to live authentically, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. I'll see you in the next one, and until then, always remember, the only approval you truly need is your own.